Hello everybody, it's Calxiyn here,
and this is a super upbeat Hunter. Let's do this!
Okay, great. So anyway, we're here to talk to you about how Semblance works, according to Red. So Red had an interesting little, like...
Hello, Mr. Sun.
He was like, meditating.
What's this filter in Instagram that makes everything look like that?
Like, he was all pretty chill, and then he was talking about how aura works, and, like, aura... Like, after time, you know, it'll be second nature to you. It'll be automatic, basically, like, explaining that it's not automatic at first, I guess you could say. That, like, you gotta, like, manually turn it on and then automatic.
We kind of knew that with John.
Yeah. And so now, we kind of have more information on how, at least, society has decided that semblance works. So some people say it has nothing to do with your personality, but Ren says that it's a common philosophy that your semblance is an extension of your personality and influenced by your personality or your soul. Basically, it's another part of you, which, again... We kind of already speculated, but we couldn't say for sure up until this point. So this is why we're kind of making this video, because now we know that there's at least some evidence for semblance working as an extension of your personality, and because Ozpin kind of says, like, you know, with time your semblance can grow, who knows what will happen, and so, like, as you grow as a person, you could say you grow your semblance better, basically. That's kind of the gist. I think that we can, you know, we can have that idea, I should say, because we don't know for sure, but we can assume that maybe that is kind of what Ozpin meant and kind of what Ren meant, that as, you know, life goes on, your semblance changes to reflect what you've learned if it is an extension of your personality and of yourself and everything. So there are some questionable exceptions to this. I guess you could say Weiss's is hereditary, but I still think, again, it ties into her very well. You know, she's sort of creating objects of her past to help her fight in the present, and I don't want to say she's, like, physically building friends, but she's kind of building friends.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
She's not having a tea party with her.
We don't know. We don't know that. You know?
It's not like having finger puppets, you know?
Yeah, but we don't know, Hunter. We don't know. Honestly.
We also don't know if Ren and Jean are having a secret love affair.
That's a little different. But in terms of people we do see this for evidence for, obviously Yang, you know, her semblance works a lot, or you could say that they feed into each other, like, it's almost a paradox, like, if your semblance, is based off of your personality, does that mean your semblance influences your personality at all?
Yeah, or you
and
can
so you
sort
could
of
say
you can sort of make someone a certain way.
Like
we are what we are because of
our environment.
Yeah.
And so, like, you could say with Yang, for example, would she be like this if her semblance wasn't to fight, I guess? Like, if it wasn't... I don't want to say it wasn't to fight, but it wasn't using anger to her advantage. Would she have, like, this sort of, like... anger as part of her personality, you know what I mean? Like, you could say, does the semblance influence the personality, or does the personality influence the semblance? And so that's when things get kind of tricky. So you could say that for Red, when he got his, he wanted to mask his emotions to be safe, and so the universe was like, alright, here you go. You know what I mean? And so, but you could say, like, Ren as a child, did Ren get that semblance because... you know, that was a part of his personality already to kind of mask what he was feeling, or did he get it because, or did he end up that way because of his semblance? And I'm more inclined to say that instead of his personality driving his semblance, it was the semblance that he got later that drove his personality. Because obviously he was, like, what, 6? Like, maybe, when Kageyuri was getting beat. And so, like, I feel like there aren't really that many recluse 6-year-olds. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
Like, when you're that young as a kid, I don't know if you're that, like, if you're exactly like Ren, because Ren is very, I don't want to say he's antisocial, but, like, Ren is he's very, very calm, and I feel like kids are always
he wasn't
hyper.
Antisocial, he was just bullied.
Yeah, that's what I mean, he was calm. No, I mean now. Like, now he's very, like, he's very chilled out, right? And so, I don't see a lot of chilled out 6-year-olds, I'm sorry, like... You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't a chilled-out 6-year-old.
You're not a chilled-out 17-year-old.
Exactly, and so even if you want to say, no, like, he could have just been a kid like that, like, I don't know, he seems very, I don't want to say optimistic and happy, but he seems a little bit more, like, eccentric than our current Ren, and so I would say more that the semblance, influenced how he ended up later, that his semblance,
No, alright.
his semblance kind of made him more recluse because he could easily control his emotions, you know what I mean? And he obviously still has feelings and everything. That's not kind of what we're saying. But what I would say is that experience in Kageyuri influenced what his semblance would be, and then his semblance then later influenced his personality. Whereas you could say someone like Yang, who probably was going to have a lot of anger issues otherwise, you know what I mean? Like, as a kid, like, you could say that her personality influenced what her semblance would be. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like, that there's two different opposites, right? There's someone like Ren who gains sort of his personality after he gets a semblance, and then there's somebody like Yang that semblance was kind of based off of her personality. I think that we can speculate that that's sort of how it works. You know what I mean? Because, again, you could take someone like Emerald. Emerald's manipulation powers could have been out of the fact that she was starving and had to manipulate people to get, to get what she wanted. But again, we don't know that young into her history, so we're not really sure as far as that goes. But they kind of explain that, like, Ren's happened at a time of stress, right? Nora just had a weird day, and then Ruby found her during training. Yeah, she just said,
I had a weird Thursday. I'm like, what happened? Was she normal?
She probably got struck by lightning.
And then she was struck by lightning, and then she turned into the Nora we know now?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Does she have, like, a super, like, villain, like...
And so you understand what I mean, right?
Found nuclear origin story?
I feel like if I suddenly got powers that were different from my current personality would change based on my newfound powers, you know what I mean?
If I got superpowers, I would turn into a sociopath.
Like, I'm saying that in terms of, like, if I had something like Yang, like, and it also kind of gave me that ability to be a really good fighter, I would probably be a lot more cocky and get into a lot more fights. You know what I mean?
And you already do.
Which physically isn't part of my personality. I don't get into physical fights. I'm not beating down people as we speak. You feel me? And so, like, I feel like that... I don't want to bring My Hero Academia into this, but there's a really good example, like, Bakugo... Bakuga? He's not Bakugan, at least. So anyway, like, he kind of gets his powers at an early age, and because he's sort of more developed than the other kids, he kind of gets a big head about it, you know what I mean? And kind of has all this pride and jealousy and, like, and stuff like that, like, a lot of insecurity issues, and so you can see how your powers from a young age would influence later how you develop, right? And so I think it's what Ren said, but it's also not always what Ren said. It can be, basically, it's sort of both. That for people like Emerald and Yang that are put into, and Ren, obviously, that are put into specific situations, I guess, or I guess I shouldn't throw, no, yeah, I can throw Yang, Ren in there too. So, like, that are put into specific situations, like, maybe their personality had some sort of effect, on their semblance, or you could also make the case that their semblance also had an effect on their personality, that Yang unleashed her anger as soon as she found her semblance, that Emerald was more manipulative as soon as she found her semblance, that Ren was more recluse, etc., etc. So I think there's an argument to be made both ways for most characters, but then you have someone like RWBY, where it obviously wasn't really based on her personality. Like,
I guess one have a fast personality.
Like, I guess she's like, I don't know, I don't want to say bubbly, but I guess she's, like, fast.
Then she has bubble powers. She's Sailor Mercury.
No. But I hope that you guys, I hope this wasn't too confusing. I feel like I've drawn myself in circles a bit, but I think that's what happens when you get into, like, a paradoxical sort of situation. But, again, you have characters like Ren that, he was having a hard time, his semblance came, and it helped him, and so that influenced him for the rest of his life. You could make both cases for Yang, that Yang's anger started when Raven left, and then her semblance gave her an outlet for that, or her semblance just made her more angry after she got it. Then you can kind of make the case for people like Emerald, where it could also sort of go either way, that Emerald's sort of environment shaped her semblance because she needed to be able to steal to survive, sort of thing. Then you have people like Cinder, and RWBY, which is just like, they have cool powers. Like, because glass manipulation or heat manipulation doesn't really have anything to do with you, I don't think, as a person. Or at least not Cinder as a person. And so, obviously, then you have people like Weiss, that is hereditary. But then, in the hereditary sense, couldn't you say that the semblance influenced how Weiss turned out, because everybody in her family has it?
Or the fact that she didn't have that made her feel more like a...
That she didn't...
Have it to an extent.
that she didn't really have a choice, I guess you could say. It's hereditary, so everybody in her family has it, but it's about making it her own. And that fits very well with the rest of her arc, is that she needs to kind of make, you know, make things hers, I guess, instead of making things her father. Yeah, exactly. It's all about identity. And so I appreciate what they're doing with the Semblance now. It opens up a lot of interesting narrative stuff, like especially with the stuff we talked about with Weiss and then with Emerald and like stuff like that. But it also just it explains how the world works, and I enjoy that. But it was sort of exposition-y. Like Ren was just sitting like he was meditating on the ground, and then he was like, wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. But that's okay. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, I hope that you liked it. So I guess we will see you later. I hope that you guys become patrons if you want to become patrons. And you join our Discord server to talk to us more about this topic. And we'll see you later. Bye, guys!